Okay, this is grade 7. This is section 4.3 in your Math Links 7 textbook. These are the questions you had for homework. So the first question, question 4, says estimate which percent is larger. Then calculate each percent. So when we estimate, we want to use numbers that we can do quickly in our head. So if I'm doing question number A, 4A, 50% of 140, I really want to think of something I can do. Now 50% of 180 is something I can do because I know what half of 180 is. It's 90. Some people want to use 50% of 200 because that's an easier question, but I'm going to use that and say is approximately 90, right? So that's going to be my estimation for this 90. Over here, 25% of 208 I can't do, but 25% is half of half. So 25% of 200, half is 100, so half of that is 50. So 25% of 200 is 50. So given that this is 90 and this is 50, this one is going to be the number. Okay? Now to actually do the calculation, you could do 50% of it, or if you're using a calculator, 50% is really 50 out of 100, which is really 50 hundredths. So instead of doing 50%, I can really think of it as being decimal 50, or just decimal 5, multiplied by 184. And if I use a calculator for that, decimal 5, right there, decimal 50, or decimal 5, multiplied by 184, your answer is 92. And if I think of what is half of 184, it's also 92. So for B, 10% of 64, I don't need to estimate because I know it's exactly 64. 1% of 325, I know it's exactly 3.25 because I just have to move my decimal one place for this one and move it two places for this one. So my estimation and my calculation are the exact same thing. Which one is larger? Definitely 10% of 640. C, 35% of 140. So I'm going to say, well, let's make it 35% of, let's make it 40% of 140. Let's do it 40% of 140. So I know 10% is 14, 20% would be 28, 40% would be 56. So if I use those ones, my estimation is going to be around 56. 70%, well, 10%, this is actually a calculation, is 6. So 70% I know is 7 times that, so it's 42. So which one's the larger? Probably this one, but we better double check. So 35% is really 35 hundredths, which to a calculator is 35 hundredths, tenths, hundredths. 35% of is multiplication, and 140, if I take my calculator and go 35% of 140, I get 49. If I look at the second part, 70% of 60 is 42. We already had that one. So which one's larger? It is still that one. Okay, question number 5 says 1% of a number is 540. So if I think of this number as being this big box, and I say to you that 1%, this is going to represent 1%, 1% is $5.40, then 100% of that number had to be 1% times 100 will equal 100%, or $5.40 multiplied by 100 would be $540. So the whole number is $540, and therefore once I know that, so the number is $540. So 10% of the number would be $54 because I moved my decimal one place over. 25% of the number would be, well, mentally I could do half of it and then do half again, but I'm just going to go 25% of 540 and use my calculator. So 25% of $540 is $135. 100% of the number, well, that's about the easiest question you could possibly get. That's $540. And how is the answer in C related to the answer in B? It is a quarter of the size, or a quarter of the number. Question 7 says a school librarian placed 2 orders for new books. There were 68 books in the first order. So I'm going to put the first order here. This is the whole thing is 68 books. And by the way, this is a great strategy to tackle most of these word problems, is to draw them. 24, which is less than half. So 24 of them were adventure. In the second order, there were 82 books. So this is a bigger order. 82 books. 35 of which were adventure. So this is, again, less than half, because 41 would be half. So 35 adventure. Which order of books had the greater percent of adventure books? Okay, so for this particular first order, I'm going to extend the page here a little bit. The first order had 68 books in total, 24 of which were adventure. So the fraction that represents the fraction of adventure books would be 24 to 68. The other order, order 2, would have 82 total books, 35 of which were adventure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert both of these fractions. I'm going to convert both of these fractions to decimals, and then from the decimal I'm going to make a percent. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my calculator and go 24 divided by 68. That will convert it to a decimal, which is 0.353. Notice how I rounded that 2 to a 3, which is going to be approximately 35.3%. In the second example, 35, or second order, divided by 82 is 0.427, which is approximately 42.7% adventure books. So which one had the greatest percentage of adventure books? The second order is your answer. By almost 6.5% roughly, more. Question 8 says, Natalie volunteers in the community library. On Tuesday, 378 people visited the library and 342 people signed out books. On Thursday, 480 people visited the library and 420 people signed out books. So this is exactly like the previous question, except this time instead of adventure novels and total books bought, this is people visiting the library. So in the Tuesday, I'm going to draw a picture, there were 378 total people that visited. That's going to be my denominator, because that's my total. And of those, 342 people signed out books. Okay? That we can make a percentage of. On Thursday, over here, there were 480 total people that visited the library. And of those 480, 420 signed out books. So the first thing we're going to do is convert this to a fraction. So 304, or decimal, excuse me, 342 divided by 378 is, oh, I did that wrong. Let's do that again. 342 divided by 378 is 0.905. I rounded that 4 to a 5, which is 905 thousandths, which is 90.5 hundredths, which is approximately 90.5%. So, but 90.5% of the people who visited on Tuesday signed out books. On Thursday, 420 divided by 480 is, well, that's an easy one. That's a terminating decimal. 0.875, which is 875 thousandths, which is 87.5 hundredths, which is 87.5%. So which day did they have more books signed out? The answer is Tuesday. Question 10 says a vacation package at a travel agency costs $1,240. The package is advertised at 20% off. What is the new price of the package? So the first thing we have to do is we have to realize, well, the price of the trip is this much money, and I'm going to save some money. So what I want to know is, what is the savings? The savings is 20% of $1,240. Now there's two ways to do it. You can do it mentally, where you go 10% is $124, and 20% is $248, and then you know your savings is $248. But the easier way is to think of 20% as 20 over 100. And as a decimal, this would be your multiplication statement that's going to get you the same answer. Because when I take my calculator now and go 20% of 1240, I did that wrong. Clear. 20% of 1240, I forgot my zero, I think, is 248. So in both cases, I get a savings of $248, but that's not the answer to the question. The question says, what is the new price? So what I have to do is take my old price and subtract the discount from it. And for this one, I'm just going to do it by hand. The new price, therefore, is $9.92. Question 11 says a snowboard shop is clearing last year's stock at 35% off. Okay, so it says estimate the amount of discount for boots that were regularly priced at $199.99. Well, obviously, I am not going to use $199.99. I'm going to use $200 as my estimation. And 35% is roughly 25% and 10%. So 25% is half of half, which would be $50. 10% is move the decimal one place, which is $20. So 35% would be $70. So my estimation is $70, but the calculation is a little bit different. So I'm going to use a calculator for this. 35% of $200 would be 35 hundredths, or 35.35 times, sorry, not 200, my fault, 199.99. If I take my calculator and go 35% of 199.99 and press equals, it will tell me it's this much money. So it's 699.9965. Now remember, we only need to keep 2 decimal places in money. So when I round this, oh, what's going on here? There we go. When I round this 6 is going to make this 99 go up. So my actual price will be $70, which is actually what my estimation was. So if that's going to be the discount, my final price, I'll have to take the $199.99, which was the price of the boots before the discount, subtract my discount of $70, and I'll get $999.21. The final price of the boots is $129.99 before tax. Question 12 says a transit company raises its fares by 15% beginning April 1st. The current price is $1.90 for adults and $1.40 for students. What is the exact value of each increased price ticket? How much is the new ticket? So we're going to do the adult first. So the original price was $1.90, but I want to increase it by 15%. So 15% of $1.90 will be this calculation in a calculator. So 15% of $1.90 is 28 cents, or since we're going to round it, is approximately a 29-cent increase. So we take our old ticket price plus the new 15% rise. The new ticket price will be $2.19. For the other one, it is $1.40 regular. So the child is $1.40. And same process, so 15% of $1.40. The rise in price will be 21 cents. So if the old price was $1.40 plus the increase of 15%, which was 21 cents, the new price for the child ticket is $1.61. And then the last part says, what is transit officials want to have ticket prices ending in a 0 or 5. Do you think it's a good idea? Explain. Yes, because you certainly don't want to have to give out pennies and people have the exact answer. So if this was the price, I would probably either make it $2.20 or an even better price, would be $2.25. Over here, the best price would be $1.60 probably. But you'd lose money. Actually, you probably don't want to do that because you'd lose money a cent off each one. So you're probably going to make it $1.65. So you don't lose money. Okay, I think we had to stop at this question, didn't we? So I won't do this question because I don't want to give you the answer to the ones we're going to work on tomorrow. But if you have any questions about anything we did, make sure you ask them tomorrow.